Hello and welcome to OLA 2020. Thank you for joining us for Insta-Lit Cooking Up a Culture of Literacy. My name is Ashley Dodderman and I am this year's chair of OKSL and so happy to moderate this session. I'm joined by our presenter, Julie Bloss, a principal in Grove Public Schools. Now, I'll be back at the end of the session, but for now I'd like to turn it over to Julie. Julie?
Well, hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today. I certainly appreciate your time and all that you do in your communities to promote a love of reading. And I'd just like to say thank you to the Oklahoma Library Association for honoring reading in our state and providing so many opportunities for reading in communities such as mine in Grove, Oklahoma. And I'm so honored to participate in this library conference today. So thanks for joining me, and I'm going to just go ahead and bring up my slides for our presentation. So hang on just a minute and cross your fingers that this goes well. Here we go. So I don't know about you, but I got an Instapot a while back, probably about a year and a half ago. And when I got that Instapot, I just have to tell you, it changed my family. It changed the way we eat. It changed our budget, and it changed my time in the kitchen. It made our food more affordable. It saved me so much time in cooking, and it gave us more things to eat, things that we maybe wouldn't have tried otherwise. And so when I was thinking about a title for today's presentation about literacy, I know you're wondering, where in the world is she going with this? But I thought Insta-Lit. Because just like my Instapot, I'm going to provide you today with some new ideas, some ideas that aren't very inexpensive. Some of them are free, and we are going to talk about funding before we're done today. And we're going to talk about some things that are kind of out of the box, some things you might try, some things just like tasting foods that are different and new. We're going to talk about some literacy ideas that are just out of the box, creative and different. So thanks for your time today, and let's get started together. So I am Julie Bloss, and I am a principal with the Grove Early Childhood Center in Grove, Oklahoma, up there in the northeast corner of the state on gorgeous Grand Lake. And anytime that you are in my community, I certainly hope that you will stop by my school, where I serve 350, that's right, 4- and 5-year-olds. And I could not be any more happy to be the principal and lead reader there. So here's my contact information, and I'm going to drop it in again at the end, but you are welcome to contact me at any time because I do have a lot to share about loving reading. And you're going to hear my cat meowing in the background because I'm, during COVID, offering my services here at the house just like everybody else, and Cutie's all fired up to help today. And before it's over, I hope she doesn't jump up here in front of the screen and show you what she looks like. But if you hear in the background, that's what's going on, because it's a crazy time, and that's for sure. This is my amazing staff. And if you see there in the middle, that's Skippy John Jones, because we are a reading staff, and we are constantly looking for ways to incorporate reading in our daily activities at school. And here's one day where Skippy John Jones appeared. And I'll talk to you later about costumes and literacy activities, but this was just a fun picture I had to include of my amazing staff. When I throw out an idea that promotes reading, they grab on, hold tight, and just run with me. So I love them. You can learn more about my school on our website, ecc.ridgerunners.net. We have a Facebook page at Grove ECC, and we have a YouTube channel. We do a live broadcast that showcases students every day at Grove ECC CH97. Way before YouTube, we had a TV show, an actual TV show, and it was called Channel 97 that we ran on the local cable TV show channel. So that's why it's called Channel 97. But you can catch us on any of those platforms, and we would love for you to see us there. So here's today's recipe card, and by the end of the presentation, I hope to share with you sharing some book choice, some literacy activities, ways to inspire reading, and some talk about book funding, because book fund requires book funds. Here's one of my favorite quotes from Laura Bush that every child in America should have access to a well-stocked library. And I can remember as a very small child, my family taking me to the library. I cannot remember a time that I didn't go to the library. I was raised by two parents that read many different things. And from the earliest memories that I have, I remember going to the public library, participating in many of their activities and bringing home just big stacks of books to read. And I continue to do that to today. I think that I am an avid reader because of my upbringing with the public library. And I'm so blessed today to have a school library that I oversee, along with my library staff. So when I think about the importance of books in my life, I do know that it is because of book scarcity in my parents' lives. Both of my parents had book scarcity, especially when I listened to my father tell a story about growing up in the foothills here of the Ozarks. My father talks about poverty when he was raised and the lack of books in his home, and how in the winter months he would dig up sassafras roots and send them away to cousins in a far off state. I believe it was Idaho actually. And his cousins would send him a box of books that he would relish and read by lantern light during the dark months of December, January, and February here in Oklahoma. And when I think of my young father growing up, it just almost gives me tears to think about it, because it's a poignant story about the importance of books in the lives of children and the hope that it can give families. So I think about book scarcity. It's really lit my fire to put books into the hands of children in my community, and to really push forward talking about literacy and a love of literacy. So the next slide will show you, about a year and a half ago, this is my father, and we put in a little free library in front of my school. So the school purchased a little free library, and on Mother's Day, my father and I have to pull it together here. We installed this little free library. My mother had just been released and declared cancer-free. She'd been on a little journey with cancer, and to celebrate that on Mother's Day, we opened a little free library. Now, lots of families, I'm sure you are aware, and you probably know of circumstances where families aren't comfortable going to a public library or just can't get there before the doors close at night. So we are so blessed and humbled to sponsor the little free library in front of my school, where the doors are open to that library and families can have access to it at any time. Some families come late at night, some families come early in the morning. During COVID, families came and accessed all sorts of materials. Of course, we didn't during COVID offer books in the little free library, but we gave out all other kinds of things in the little free library during that time. And right before COVID hit, we had just made arrangements to open our second little free library, which is the little free laundry library. So we've made arrangements with our laundry facility here in Grove, and our next little free library at the laundromat will be open very soon, shortly. And it's so easy to open one of these. The one at the laundromat is simply going to be a tub of reading books that families can share together while they're doing their laundry. Because we know that families need to start reading early, especially with their little ones. And at the ECC, we have a saying, and goodness knows we didn't make this up. We probably stole it off the internet. But anyway, our saying is, let's trade app time for lap time. And let's put down devices. Let's put down technology. Now, I'm not putting that down or knocking that down in any way, but let's put down a device and pick up a book and read with our little ones. So we're going to provide books that families can read together at the laundromat. And so I just love this picture of my dad when we were installing that library together. And it has been a really effective lending library where families can borrow a book, they read a book, they return a book, and they repeat. And all during the year, we have all kinds of pop-up events at that little free library where we give away popsicles, we give away little trinkets, I show up in a costume, I do a little read aloud. So the little free library has certainly been a blessing in my community, and it's something that I hope you will consider doing in your community as well. We bought that actually on Amazon. It was under $200, but if you don't, of course, I know funding is very tight everywhere right now, but sometimes civic organizations, the Boy Scouts, when they have an Eagle Scout looking for a project, that is something I've found other communities are working together to install. So keep that in mind as something you might want to do to share your love of literacy. At the beginning of the year this year, I was trying to think of an innovative way to share a book with my staff. And I ran across this book last year at a conference. I'd gone to a principals conference somewhere, and they were selling books, and here was this book by Deborah Hopkinson, A Letter to My Teacher. It is a sweet, it is a poignant story of a child writing a story to her teacher. It's the kind of book when you read it, and at the end of it, you're just standing there bawling. And I did. I was standing there in the aisle reading the book that I was about to purchase and just, just bawling, standing there. So I buy this book, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have everybody in my staff read this book. But I didn't want to read it at a staff meeting because I really wanted each person to quietly read this book to themselves. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna take a roster, and I'm gonna put it in a little envelope with a card about start. Oh, did you hear that? It got quiet here because my heat and air turned off. That's much better. Now you'll really hear the cat meow probably. Anyway, so I put a roster in with the book. I put it in an envelope and a card about starting school. And I just put that in a mailbox at the beginning of the school year. And throughout the year, it went from person to person on my staff, so that by the end of the year, everyone, hopefully it didn't take that long, but everybody read the story, A Letter to My Teacher. So my question to you is, when you find an amazing book, a storybook that you want your staff to read or colleagues to read, how can you find an innovative way to share it with them? Because sometimes you do want to read that out loud to everyone at the same time, but sometimes there are those books that really grab your heart and you want them to read and reflect on privately. And finding ways to do that. How can you do that? I'd like for you to think about that. This book is definitely one, if you are an educator, add it to your collection and read it. You will love it. We give away books like nobody's business at my school. If it is your birthday, you get a book. Not only do you get a book, but you get to choose your book, because book choice, having a voice in what you read, is so important, especially for young children who don't get to make many choices for themselves. We're always telling them what to do, so they get to choose a book on their birthday. And on our TV show, they get to stand up, and on their birthday, we tell their name, we get to announce it's their birthday, they get to wear a hat, and we interview them, and they get to hold up the book that they choose, and we talk about the book, because it's so exciting when it's your birthday, and it's so exciting to take home that book that they chose. So book giveaways. Other things that we have done during the school year is we never, I once saw somebody throwing some books in the trash, and I'm telling you, I thought my head was gonna pop off my body. We never throw a book in the trash. We found some books this year stored in a closet. We've had an old closet that was just to the hilt with all kinds of stuff. And they were things probably we wouldn't use for instructional purposes anymore. They were old reading kits. And, sometimes if you belong to a textbook caravan or someone donates things to you and you might not use them for instructional purposes anymore, we decided we're going to have a book giveaway. So you'll see in a picture there, we gave away books to all students that day, and it was such a joyful day because they got to choose books to take home. And then teachers started cleaning out their closets because, we tend to hold on to things, and we might even have 4 or 5 multiple copies of the same big book. And instead of sharing those resources, we decided we're going to bless the daycares and the child care providers in our community. And so we had them come in and we shared those big books and those resources with our child care providers. And they were so excited to have those things that were just sitting in our closets, not being used at all. They were so grateful to take those into their child care agencies and use those for instruction there, and to read those during story time with the same children that we share, those 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and then those 4-year-olds that are often coming the next year for school. I do a lot of staff giveaways during the year as well, and we'll talk about that more, but certainly with scholastic book fairs and different prizes throughout the year, I gift my teachers books. I've learned a lot about the importance of classroom libraries and what those need to look like, and making sure that the books in our libraries are relevant and timely. And if I'll never forget this, somebody told me that if in your classroom library you still have a book from Scott Baio or, Joni Loves Chachi and Happy Days in your classroom library, it's time to up-to-date that and make it more relevant and purposeful. And so we're learning to weed out our classroom libraries and add to those. So I'm working on that. That's a goal of mine. So something we love to do during election years, of course, this is an election year, and anytime we have a local election or a Super Tuesday, we have a book election. And I'm going to tell you what that looks like, because this is a great year to have a book election wherever you might be, if you are an educator especially. So we choose, because we're an early childhood center, it might look different if you have older students, and I'm sure you can modify this idea, that we choose 3 or 4 books, and then we read those books out loud to our students, and we have each class individually vote and have a class favorite, and then we choose our top 2 nominees from all of those votes. And then on the day of election, we have our top 2 candidates, and then we announce our book winner. And then the book winner is then awarded to each class. So each classroom library gets the book winner. So that year, I think, I'm trying to remember, I know that's a Pete the Cat poster, because it was, we just happen to have that poster with Pete the Cat on it. But we've had so many winners as we've done this activity each year, and it's so fun. We try to add different activities to each of the 4 books that we choose, and we try to keep it down to 4 just because it's simpler for us to manage with small children. But we always try to do a read aloud, we do a hands-on activity with it, we do a book talk with it. Sometimes we'll add like a YouTube video with it. We might do a dress-up day with each of the 4 titles. So I think that it's really fun, because the small children will hear their families talking about the upcoming election, and that's a way that we can tie literacy to the things they're hearing about, and to talk about the importance of voting, and voting for something that you like and that you believe in. So I love it. I don't know, we haven't chosen our 4 books for this upcoming year. Typically, I choose affordable books, because in the end, I'm going to be buying a copy for every classroom. So I do keep that in mind ahead of time when I'm doing that activity. But I love seeing those children all line up with their ballots and voting together, and I think that is a sweet activity to do. We partner and rely on our collaboration with our local library, and you'll see me with some costumed people there. And bless the mascots. I never really knew what a mascot did until my son became a school mascot. And bless the mascots, because those suits are hot, and it takes a lot of energy to interact with people all day and to be a mascot. But the mascots bring so much fun and excitement to our literacy activities. And oftentimes our public library will go in 50-50 with us, or they will pay for mascots with us, or they have some costumed characters, and they will come partner with us when we're doing literacy-based activities. So we try to always include the public library when we have evening activities or family activities, because we just think it's so important that families get to know our public library staff and learn about the different amazing opportunities that our public library offers, not only for children, but for adults and for different ages of children, not just the ones that are served in our building. And so through that partnership, they have provided different book giveaways. They fill out cards for book or for memberships to the library, and they've helped our families with literacy education. So we're just so grateful for that collaboration, and I would encourage you anytime that you can to please invite your public library to your public school, because we should work together to promote literacy. This is something I am so glad I learned about from my friend, Dr. Brad Gustafson. So Dr. Gustafson showed maybe, I don't remember, maybe a couple of years ago, he had his yearbook vendor come in and take a professional picture of each staff member holding their favorite childhood book. And then he took that photo and he made it their yearbook photo. And I was like, I am doing that. That is the greatest idea I have ever seen, because for years and years and years to come, children will look in their yearbook and they will remember their teachers and their staff members at their school as readers. And they will look at those books and they will wonder, I wonder what that book was. I wonder why that teacher liked that book. I should read that book because my teacher liked that book. And I just love the idea of linking that book with the staff and promoting literacy forward through pictures that children would always have. And so this year we did that at my school, and our yearbooks are still not in. But when we got our pictures back from the person that did our yearbook photos, they gave us a framed 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 10 pictures of each staff member. And so we framed them. You can see the cute framework that went around each picture, and we display them in the hall. And so when families come in, the first thing, of course, each child wants to do is find their teacher, and then they start going, oh, I read this book, and so read this book, and I listened to this book, and I want to go to the library and find this book. And I think that this has such potential and possibility. You could do it as a hall display. You could put it beside a classroom door when you do transitioning to school at the beginning of the year to find your teacher. What better way than to show, this is my teacher, and she is a reader. And look at the book she is holding. When she was a little girl, this is the book she liked, or this is a favorite book that she reads every year to her class. I just love this idea. We took these books or these pictures of us with books, and we created a video that would be great to like promote your school. I love that idea. And of course, the yearbook picture idea. I just adored this. Brad Gustafson is a literacy leader from Minnesota, and I'm telling you, I grabbed this, I stole it, I'm giving him credit for it, and I loved it, and I hope you love it too. I had to share that today. So I noticed on social media, and certainly not hardly anybody probably cares about me or what I read, but I did notice this. When I started reading books not at my school, my viewership went up like a quadrillion %, because it went probably from here to like here. So last summer, I heard that we had a blueberry farm in town, and I really wanted to go to the blueberry farm, and I also adore the book Jamberry. So I'm sure you probably know Jamberry, one berry, two berry, pick me a blueberry. Love that book. And I thought, I am gonna go out to that blueberry farm. I am going to read this book we're going to video it. And of course you have to follow copyright. But I'm going to go out there, we're going to video this book, and I'm going to get it out to my students. So that's what we did. And I never, ever thought so many people would watch that video and give me some positive feedback. It was so much fun. I think the fun part was when you leave your building or where you work and you go out into your community and you share your love of reading, people just see you in a different way. And I think they really like to see your community spotlighted, because they might go somewhere new, or they might, of course, we want them to read the book, but they just see that linking of literacy and your community. And so we went out to this blueberry farm, and I did haul home, I don't know how many gallons of blueberries that we picked. That right at the end of this story, up comes the farm dog, sits down beside me as if she is listening to me read this book, and it could not have been scripted any better. It was the best ending to the book. And people think like we could have had that happen on purpose. We could have never pulled that off. It was the greatest moment, and people loved it. So I didn't do any more of those, I don't think, for quite a while, until I got a call from the high school principal. And she said, I was just thinking about your Blueberry Farm book the other day. And she said, well, guess what? I've got baby miniature donkeys. I think you need to come out to my farm and read a book about donkeys. And I said, my gosh, I would love to do that, because all my life I have wanted to see a donkey. I have wanted to have a miniature donkey in my backyard forever. Of course, we can't do that because we live in the middle of town, and I probably could never have a miniature donkey anyway. But anyway, so, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, of course, I'm going to read the Dinky Donkey. So we go out to this farm, to the high school principal's farm, and I read the Dinky Donkey. And then again, viewership, it just skyrockets, because I'm outdoors, I'm with these crazy donkeys. People are just watching to see, well, what's going to happen? Is she going to get toppled over? And I read the Dinky Donkey. Well, not much longer, I get a call. Miss Bloss, we've got some baby sheep. It's sheep season. Come on out to the farm. So then I read to the sheep. So I would just encourage you, anytime you can, do a read aloud and get out of your comfort zone and get out of your school or wherever you work and go do read alouds. Do that, because your families and community will love it. They will love seeing where places around your community, and then adding a book about that is it's a showstopper in its winner every time. So I've been doing Flat Stanley at my school since the day we opened our doors. This will be the 12th year. This will be the first year we have seniors graduate. I love Flat Stanley. Since I was tiny, I've loved the story of Flat Stanley. If you don't know it, real quick, it's a little boy. Bulletin board fell on him, squashed him. His parents folded him up, put him in an envelope, and mailed him to his, I believe, his friends. So at the beginning, when we did Flat Stanley, I don't know if you all have ever done this, but we cut out Flat Stanleys out of paper. We wrote letters in kindergarten. It's a writing project along with reading, and we would mail those to people we knew, and we would just pray somebody would write us back. And you know, that went okay. It was all right. We would get some responses back, and then each year we kind of tweaked it a little bit, hoping to get a little bit better response. And each year it grew and grew and grew, and we turned it into contest. How many states could we get respond? What furthest country away could we get respond? And then now that we have the digital age, we get emails, we get big boxes of tourist information. One time I opened up a big box and it was full of sand and shells. We now participate with just hundreds of school districts that Their students study about Grand Lake Grove, Oklahoma, and we study about their schools, and we send things back and forth. I just love Flat Stanley. You'll see a picture here of Flat Stanley at the Washington Memorial. He had a good time in DC there. And you'll see Alessandro, and that is a Bitmoji. So for those of you that have seen a Bitmoji, that is Mini Mrs. Bloss, because this year when we had COVID-19 at the end of the year, I sent Mini Mrs. Bloss instead of Flat Stanley home with each child in our to-go bags. And I encouraged them to take Mini Mrs. Bloss on adventures and to email me or text me or send me a picture. And so she's been going on Flat Stanley projects this summer. I've been on a trampoline, and I've been on the lake, and I've been to some gardens and different places. So I really like involving families and friends and businesses. And it's so much fun, I think, for children to get mail, you know, like paper mail in an envelope from family and friends. And then it's so much fun to connect virtually with schools, with other children, and to email back and forth and then see them on the screen. I think there's such a connection there when we do that. So Flat Stanley is certainly an amazing project to participate in. You can find all sorts of activities online, and there's a lot of opportunity there to participate and connect. So if you would like to do that with my school, please reach out to me, and please check it out online because you will have so much fun doing it. So this year I started a project called Who's Reading Wednesday. I saw a principal do kind of a mystery reader where she would have someone come in and have a book over their face, and they would read, and at the end of it they would say, surprise, it's so and so. And I thought, oh, I want to do something similar, but I want this to be community leaders, because I want my students to see community leaders as readers. And I really wanted it to be a community helper theme if possible, because community helpers, that's an appropriate theme. That's something we talk a lot about with our 4- and 5-year-olds. So I wanted them to see maybe people they know, or positions in the community that they're aware of. I wanted them to see those people as readers. So I did this for quite a while. It went on and on and on. And it was called Who's Reading Wednesday. So on Wednesdays, I would drop a video, and they would be introduced with a book in front of their face, and often the book would tie in with the work that the person did, but not always. And so, for an example, you'll see the picture with the flowers. That is our local florist. And so I went to the florist shop, and the person there had the book in front of her face, and I would say, I'm here today with someone that brings you joy. And when you have a new baby, or when you're sick, or when you're sad, you know, sometimes people send flowers, and I'm here today with da da da. And then the book would come down, and together we would partner and we would read the story. You'll see me there at the dentist office. That is the same office where all of our students go, and they're so kind to us. We do a dental check there. Every child in my building in pre-K goes there, and they see the tooth fairy and they do a dental check. So you'll also see the doctor there, who also serves on my school board. And then, of course, Santa Claus had to make an appearance too. So I think for business owners, community leaders, for parents, surprise guests, it's such an opportunity for people to be seen as readers and leaders in your community. And, you know, I had lots of people asking me, can I be a Wednesday reader? Can I be a Wednesday reader? Of course you can. Of course you can, because we just value our community and that partnership and collaboration. And I want our children to see adults around them as readers. And so I think that's a great way to do it. We promote a lot of book reading at my school. You'll see me there. That's me doing a book talk at the book fair. We talk a lot about books on Channel 97 every day, like I said, through birthday books and through books that I'm reading, or birthday books or books that I'm doing a book talk for. And then this year I tried something new on YouTube. I did on our private channel. I just started reading little snippets to promote books. So I read some from Pumpkin's story to see if I read just a little bit of a book, and then would children want to check out that book. And so that worked really well for me. And then this is another idea from Brad Gustafson that I did with my staff. And it's called Literacy O-Lanterns, where my staff came into a meeting and we decorated pumpkins based upon our favorite book characters. And that was so much fun, so much fun. I could see if I had older students, that would be a really fun activity to do with older students. Of course, 4- and 5-year-olds, that might look a little different than what intended. So for us, our staff did it, and it was great fun. So we promote a lot of book reading in different ways, and those are just a few. Book talking, I'm sure most of you do a lot of talking about books, but here were just a few points from a presentation that I recently attended. Make sure that when you do your book talking, you give them a good hook. And I typically do that with a costume or a prop, or connect the book to something personal. Just like at the beginning of this presentation, I told you about my Instapot and how that changed my time in the kitchen. And so connect your book to something personal. That's a great way to catch your audience's attention, and be sure to give it a lot of energy and connect it to your audience. So make sure that the book that you are trying to sell to your audience is something they would buy to begin with. And certainly never do a book talk if you haven't read the book yourself. I've learned that the hard way. You can't just read the back of the book, because someone's going to ask you about it. And then timing is of essence. Make sure that you know how you're going to end that book talk. It's not necessarily how long your book talk is going to be, but that at the end of it, you know how you're going to end it before you start it. So that brings me to one thing that I adore, and it is the 30-second book talk. Okay, are you up to the challenge of doing a book talk in 30 seconds? Every spring on Twitter, Scholastic sponsors a 30-second book talk. Can you hone it down to 30 seconds and really sell your book? Do you think you could do that? You know, it is not as easy as you think. I've done it a lot, and it takes a lot of practice to do that. So I'm going to do my best to share with you my 30-second book talk, Aliens Love Underpants. Okay, hope this works. So see, that's not too hard, but you don't have to make a video. Just trying to do that with students. Maybe you could start, I would say probably 3rd grade and up could do a 30-second book talk, no problem. It's just practicing. And I also love the 5-word book talk. So you could easily describe a book in 5 words and make a game of it, and making helping each other come up with 5 words to describe a loved book, and then guessing what book each person is talking or describing. I think that would be a lot of fun. I just think finding innovative ways to share your love of books with students is so much fun. So there's another great way that you can do book talking and you don't have to show your face and you can write it all down ahead of time if book talking kind of makes you nervous or makes you sweat a little bit, as I would say. There's an app for that, My Talking Pet. And I wish I'd loaded a video for this, but if you'll download the app, My Talking Pet, you get probably, I don't know, 75 animals and their mouths move and their voices change pitches, and they have high voices and they have low voices, and you can make that animal say anything that you want, and they have funny costumes, and they could talk about books for you. And I think that would be a really fun way for you to share with students a book talk. That would be a lot of fun. Another app I've learned a lot about that I love is called Novel Effect, and it's actually a book or an app that supports storytelling. So while you read a book, it will play music and sound effects that go along with your story. So if you were reading a book like Hansel and Gretel, it would play maybe scary music as the little boy and little girl are going through the woods, or it would play the sound of the wind, or it would play music as they're going up the stairs into the house, or it might play screechy, scary music as the witch comes behind them. So check out Novel Effect. It has hundreds of books downloaded, the sound effects for those books. It's on your phone or an iPad, and you play that, and it matches your voice. So as you're reading, it stops the sound effects while you stop your voice. It is so clever and adds so much imagination to you while you read a book out loud. I wanted to tell you that today. I love it. So let's talk about funding ideas. And I know that you think that is a picture of me holding toilet paper, but that's not. That is me holding a cash register receipt from a recent purchase of books. So let's talk about funding, because you can't have book fun unless you have book funds. So I write a lot of grants, and if you're not aware, Dollar General has literacy grants available. They're very, very easy to write. Now, usually the deadline is before May, so you probably missed this past round, but go on and look. Because of COVID, I'm not sure. They might have extended that. I'm not quite sure about that. Check out Dollar General grants. Also, I've gotten lots of money from the Walmart Foundation. You can go to your local Walmart and talk with them about an application there, and certainly make sure your manager always knows if you are applying locally for Walmart Foundation money. Scholastic BOGO, anytime you have a Scholastic book fair, you will get money to spend there. But at the end of the year, if you ever have 2 Scholastic book fairs, you are eligible to have a 3rd book fair in the spring, which is a BOGO, buy one, get one free, which literally means anytime a student buys a book, they get one for free. And it has been so beneficial for us, because whenever I bought books for students, I've gotten the same number for free. Whenever I bought books for staff, I've gotten the same number for free. I also belong to FACE, which is Family and, I have to think about that acronym for a minute, Family and Community Education. I believe that's right. With Scholastic, which means I get 68% off of the price of titled books. So anyone is eligible to apply. It's also great professional development, FACE, with Scholastic. Look into that, because they have amazing products available, and certainly something with funding as difficult and tight as it is, I've gotten all kinds of materials there. Also, our big library fundraiser is through what we call Literacy Night. It didn't really start out as a fundraiser, but more of a way just to promote our love of reading. But let me show you a little bit about that. So each classroom in my school chooses a book, and then each child makes an art activity based upon the book. So here we've got the rainbow fish and In My Heart, and we paint, We do glass art. Oh my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you all the things we do. But each child has a piece of art exhibited based upon the book. And families come into our art show, and if they'd like to donate at our art show, we also have, I think, we did baked goods with it last year. And we did an art exhibit from staff as well. And so donations are welcome if they'd like to donate, but they come to our art show, which exhibits our art activities that are based on books that we love. We took a lot of pictures. We had the library there, of course. We did a book giveaway. We've collected canned goods for our local pet shelter there. We had a costumed person there taking pictures, but it's just really a fun family night. And it really celebrated our love of reading. So consider having a literacy night where you're tying art in with it, because it's been a huge success for several years now. And it was a great fundraiser. We gift, we are a Title I school. We use family engagement money to gift families with books. 2 years ago, we gave every child 4 books. The children came in with their teachers, and we had the children self-select 4 books each. It was our hope this year that they would get to come in with their families, and the families would shop with their children. Of course, COVID happened, so we actually selected for the children, but it is certainly our pleasure and in our hearts to do that every year. And so for the past 2 years, we've gifted each child 4 books to prevent the summer slide. I know that reading 4 books each summer, research shows that they will perform better in the fall. So we're so happy to continue to do that thanks to Title I money. And we did also partner that with a Scholastic BOGO so that our books, we got books for free so that it wasn't so costly to do. And this is one of my last slides to share with you. On the beginning of our in the front of our building, it says happy memories begin here. We certainly want our children to look back at their time at our school as a happy memory. When they transition to our school, we do all kinds of activities to help our children get familiar with our site, including we've done bingo, we've done scavenger hunts, and this year we did the Chicka Chicka Boom Boom tour. So students came in, they got a Chicka Chicka Boom Boom book, and they had to find all the letters of the alphabet and learn about all of those different things in our school. So each letter of the alphabet went with something in particular in our school building. We did that before the staff came in so that families could get over their worries and concerns about coming to school. A lot of times I think that families have difficulty transitioning simply because they're new and they have so many questions. So that's one way we kind of put those worries away quickly, is bringing families in, providing lots of transition activities, and we try to tie in a literacy themed activity with transitioning. So that's what we did this year. And we love doing that. This fall may look a little bit different, but we will still add transitioning activities to it. So we were so glad and grateful to do it. When you put happy memories begin here on the wall outside of your school, you have to commit to it. I'm so grateful to my staff that they stand beside me to promote a love of literacy. So these are literacy leaders that I follow on Twitter. They are amazing principals and authors. And when you watch this, I hope that you are able to jot these down. These are all on Twitter. Tech Ninja Todd, Principal Garden, Matthew Aaron, Gustafson Brad, and of course the author, the famous Donalyn Books, who is Donalyn Miller, the book whisperer. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at jbloss@richrunners.net. Here's my phone number, 78918-786-3003, extension 1400. And thank you again so much for your time today. It has certainly been an honor sharing with you Insta-Lit my love of literacy.
Thank you, Julie. One quick question. Your love of reading is obvious. So what are you currently reading now?
Well, last week I finished the one and only Ivan. And so I immediately started the one and only Bob because I know that that's coming out soon in a movie with Danny DeVito, and I just can't stand it. I can't wait. So, I read that the one and only Ivan is going to be on Disney Plus soon, and then they're getting ready to finish up the Danny DeVito movie. But I love the one and only Ivan, and it just stole my heart. I loved it. And so that's what I'm reading right now.
Wonderful. Oh, that's one of my favorites is One and Only Ivan.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for presenting at OLA 2020. And thank you to everyone for joining us for this session. If you enjoyed this session today, we would encourage you to go ahead and join OKSL, the Oklahoma School Librarians Division of OLA. We are focused on promoting school librarians and school libraries in the state of Oklahoma through growth and professional development. Please go on the conference app and fill out a session evaluation for this session, and we hope you'll join us for other sessions in the conference. Thank you.